Um, Imagine walking into a crowded office building, and you're breathing in a highly contagious airborne virus. But before you even take your next breath, the building's ceiling detects the microscopic threat and completely neutralizes the air. Welcome to episode 544 of the daily podcast, AI Brief. I am your host, Amin, and alongside me is my co-host, Leah. Today, we are tracking a massive paradigm shift in how artificial intelligence is being deployed into the real world. We're unpacking how Apple is turning AI into invisible infrastructure, exploring Midjourney's bizarre but highly logical leap into medical spas, a historic medical breakthrough in organ transplants. And we'll close out with our daily roundup of trending AI tools.
What is truly fascinating about today's developments is this unifying theme of technological maturity. We are moving well past the era of flashy, attention-grabbing gimmicks. The technology we're discussing today is quietly integrating into our health systems, our homes, and our daily workflows. It's doing the heavy lifting without asking for a round of applause or, well, requiring a steep learning curve.
So let's start with what is happening in Cupertino, the iOS 12.7 update. Their core strategy here is entirely about treating AI as infrastructure, not theater. The goal is to make it disappear completely into the operating system. Look at the wider tech industry. Everyone is fighting over who gets to be the concierge at the front desk with these chatbots. But Apple is quietly rewiring the plumbing and the electricity of the entire building. Think about Apple Cash. We're getting AI-powered bill splitting. You just snap a photo of a restaurant receipt.
Oh, and under the surface, the system is using advanced computer vision to identify individual line items, which is huge. It automatically calculates the tax, factors in the appropriate tip based on the total, and determines each person's exact share. It just completely removes that manual, awkward mathematics from group dinners.
It really does. And that passive utility moves seamlessly into the new Passwords app. Instead of just generating a secure string of text, the AI actively monitors your credentials for weak or breached passwords. But when it spots a vulnerability, it doesn't just send an alert. It actually navigates the website's interface on your behalf to update it.
Which implies the system has to understand the underlying architecture of thousands of different websites, locating the exact fields required to change password without any human intervention at all.
That is such a massive step. We are seeing this cross-application awareness everywhere. Over in Messages, the OS is surfacing one-tap actions based on the context of your texts. It parses the natural language, recognizes what you want, and can automatically create a reminder or share relevant photos or add a calendar event without you toggling between apps.
That cross-pollination of data is incredibly powerful. The call context feature is a perfect example of this working in real time. The OS is constantly scanning your mail app for details, like an airline confirmation code. When a call comes in from that airline, the system instantly pulls that relevant data from mail and displays it directly on the incoming call screen.
You are equipped with the exact info you need, precisely when you need it. We're also seeing this layered deeply into shortcuts. You simply describe the outcome you want in plain English, and the system builds the automation for you. Plus, there are these quieter structural upgrades, grouped smart home alerts in the Home app, searchable video clips, and AI-organized tabs in Safari that group your research by topic automatically.
And that deep integration is why this strategy matters so much. Once a consumer relies on their operating system to passively manage payments, secure passwords, organize schedules, and contextualize phone calls, the barrier to switching to a competing ecosystem becomes insurmountably high. You aren't opening an app to use AI anymore. The AI is the environment.
That concept of invisible infrastructure in our software perfectly bridges into the physical world. We are tracking three major leaps in hardware and medical science today that, frankly, feel like they belong in a science fiction novel. So I'm going to pass the floor over to lead us through these breakthroughs.
We certainly are, starting with that exact concept of invisible protection deployed in our physical environments. Imagine your office building acting as an active, localized immune system. Backed by $150 million in federal funding, scientists are developing sensors capable of detecting airborne viruses in near real time. It analyzes the size, density, and chemical signature of microscopic particles to identify pathogens floating in the room before a single person shows symptoms.
I read the brief on these sensors, and I have to admit, it sounds incredibly ambitious. How does a building actually neutralize a viral threat once it detects it? And, well, how close are we to seeing this deployed?
The timeline is aggressively set for 2028, targeting high-density environments first, like schools, hospitals, and daycares. Once the sensors detect a viral load reaching a specific threshold, the system automatically triggers localized air purification directly within the building's ventilation. The program directors describe it as creating fire sprinklers for airborne diseases. The goal is to scrub the air clean before an infection cluster has any opportunity to form.
Fire sprinklers for airborne diseases. That is a brilliant way to frame it. But speaking of things that sound like science fiction, let's pivot to the Midjourney story. I am genuinely struggling to process this one. How does a startup known for generating digital art suddenly decide to open a physical medical spa in San Francisco next year?
It seems entirely disconnected on the surface, but when you break down the mathematical mechanics, it makes perfect sense. Midjourney's core competency is rendering incredibly complex visual data. Rendering a high-fidelity digital image is mathematically very similar to rendering a high-fidelity 3D map of a physical object. They are simply applying their algorithmic expertise to physical human anatomy.
Okay, so swapping internet datasets for physical human datasets. But how exactly are they mapping the body? Technical details mentioned submerging patients in water with tiny sensors.
Yes, they've built the Midjourney scanner. The patient is actually submerged in a specialized water tank. The system utilizes 500,000 ultrasonic sensors, with each sensor being roughly the size of a grain of sand. They use water because sound waves travel far more efficiently through it than air. These tiny sensors emit high-frequency sound waves, capturing the acoustic reflections as they bounce off different tissue densities to create a stunningly detailed 3D map of your entire body. And it completes a full-body scan in under 60 seconds compared to 60 to 90 minutes for a traditional MRI.
Wait, 60 seconds. That completely revolutionizes the patient experience. It drastically increases the volume of preventative scans a facility could perform in a day. Let's move to our final medical breakthrough, which also centers on life-saving efficiency. We are tracking a historic operation out of NYU Langone Health.
This is a monumental achievement in transplant surgery. Doctors at NYU Langone successfully completed the world's first lung transplant from an HIV-positive donor directly to an HIV-positive recipient. Furthermore, they performed a liver transplant on that exact same patient on the exact same day. The patient, 56-year-old Bertrand Nelson, is breathing entirely on his own now and is even lifting weights as part of his rehab.
For those of us who aren't medical professionals, why hasn't this specific procedure been done before? What makes an HIV to HIV lung transplant so complex?
The complexity lies in the necessary immunosuppression and the biological nature of the lung itself. Lungs are uniquely vulnerable organs because they're constantly exposed to the outside environment with every breath. For an HIV-positive patient, managing the active virus while deliberately suppressing their immune system to prevent organ rejection is an incredibly delicate balancing act. It was historically considered too severe a risk until now.
And the downstream effect of this successful surgery is massive for the national organ waitlist, isn't it?
Precisely. There are roughly 1.2 million Americans living with HIV. By proving that HIV-positive organs can be safely transplanted into HIV-positive recipients, the medical community unlocks an entirely new pool of donor organs. This significantly reduces wait times for patients living with the virus and eases the immense strain on the general donor list for everyone else.
We are going to shift our focus now to practical software applications you can deploy today. Let's look at the trending AI tools. What stands out to me here is how they systematically reduce administrative drag. First up is Lightfield, which is an AI-native CRM. The practical use case here is that the software practically builds itself. Traditionally, sales teams spend countless hours manually logging interactions. Lightfield actively monitors those communications and automates the data entry on your behalf.
It effectively transforms the CRM from a demanding filing cabinet into an active, helpful participant in the sales process so teams can actually focus on selling.
Next, we are looking at Upstream. This is an inbox designed specifically for humans and automated AI agents to collaborate. The main use case is triaging high-volume communications. Simple, repetitive queries are handled by AI, while complex or emotional issues are immediately routed to a human representative.
That specific handoff point between an automated agent and a human is usually where traditional systems break down entirely, making this dedicated inbox architecture essential.
We have Goldfish, an incredibly interesting productivity AI designed exclusively for Mac users. The use case here centers on extreme personalization. It runs natively on your machine and learns your specific workflows and tone of voice. When you need to draft an email or message, it generates replies exactly how you would naturally write them.
Because it operates at the operating system level, rather than being confined to a browser tab, it integrates into whatever window you currently have open, making the output feel truly customized and not robotic.
Absolutely. Moving on to 11 Agents by 11 Labs. The core use case here is infinite scalability for customer conversations, spanning both voice and text channels. A business can deploy these agents to handle massive spikes in customer support volume without needing to hire and onboard a massive temporary support staff.
It provides the ultimate flex capacity for a rapidly growing business that can't always predict its support volume.
We're also tracking Framer 3.0, a popular website builder that has fully integrated native AI agents. The practical application involves utilizing these agents to handle highly complex website branching and community building directly within the web design interface itself as you build the site.
It fundamentally turns web design from static page creation into building highly dynamic, responsive software architectures.
Finally, we're looking at Victor.com, which functions as an AI employee built to live inside Slack and Microsoft Teams. The use case is assigning actual tasks and retrieving corporate documents directly within your company's messaging channels. You simply ask Victor in your chat window, and the agent surfaces the exact document instantly.
What is incredibly practical about tools like Goldfish and Victor.com is the fundamental shift they represent. We are moving away from an era where you have to open an app to talk to AI. We are entering an era of ambient computing. The AI simply lives where you already work, existing seamlessly within the environments you utilize every single day.
Thank you for tuning in to episode 544 of AI Brief. The thematic through line today is unmistakably the power of invisibility. Whether it's Apple silently rewiring the iPhone, scientists building localized pathogen sensors into our ceilings, or automated tools operating quietly inside your Slack channels, the most powerful technology is the kind you never actually see working. But here's a final thought to consider as we wrap up today's deep dive. If artificial intelligence is rapidly becoming the invisible infrastructure of our mobile phones, the air we breathe, and our corporate offices, what happens when that invisible infrastructure inevitably experiences an outage? How incredibly vulnerable does our invisible convenience ultimately make us?
It is a highly critical question about our growing structural dependency that we all need to be thinking about. Be sure to follow the podcast on your favorite platform, and please share it with a friend who needs a reliable shortcut to staying informed.
See you in the next episode.